Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemanly ladies, my LGBTQ family, welcome to a very special episode of Dragan, Coffee with Dragan. First and foremost, want to send blessings of healing, physically, psychologically, and financially, to my brothers and sisters, comrades, world citizens, a special episode today, since had the first positive comment from a comrade, brother or sister, have not asked, and he didn't state his gender identity. And so, as a fellow comrade citizen, will honor him and honor that he's the first to make a positive comment and refer me to some very interesting channels. Here we go. Pour yourself a cup of coffee, tea, or plain water if you're in Montreal and hear this. We are having the hottest July on record. We are bound to break the 13th day for the record of heat. We've broke about 11 or 12 up-to-date days, more or less in a row. We are the 25th of July now, and so we're bound to have the hottest July. If not, we had it already on record, hottest July on record, and thus we're going to have the hottest, perhaps, summer on record. Heat wave. Stay hydrated. Drink a lot of water, extra water. A small brief interjection and note. If you don't know, you will know that I'm doing a video, Betty. I'm doing a video right now. That's my good friend, sister, and will not stop the video. Just bear with us. So, if you don't know, you will know, and hopefully you will support morally, spiritually, and financially, and in any way you can, my initiative, Dragan versus Trump. I'm officially challenging Donald Trump, the President of the United States, to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border in a rink made of Canadian aluminum and steel. Donald Trump initiated tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel of 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum, which got this world citizen of Canada, proud LGBTQ world citizen from Canada, upset, angry, was already upset, but have decided to take action and initiative and need your support. We need you. And I'm calling for him to fight me in a rink made of Canadian aluminum and steel, on the Canadian-US border, in a rink paid by, financed by Donald Trump. Put the gloves on, Donald. Put the gloves on, Donald. Put the gloves on, Donald. And so, want Canadians and Americans from sea to sea, north to south, to scream. Have already composed a song which we'll share in the coming days with you. It's called Build the Rink, and want to organize something that once a week, every Sunday or so, at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, that is Montreal time, we'll get together, Canadians from coast to coast, admiring Moscow, admiring Americans, and chant together, build the rink, build the rink, build the rink. We need to work together for world peace, security, and prosperity. We're world citizens, and counting on millennials the world over, my fellow millennials, my LGBTQ community, LGBTQ worldwide, baby. We stand proud. We will not be bullied around. We stand proud. We will not be bullied around. We stand proud. We will not be bullied around. If you don't know him, a poet, multidisciplinary artist, and a rapper. Facebook class war rap, Facebook/groups class war rap. It's coming. Anyways, without digression, because of my first positive comment on the video on YouTube, World Wide Web, I'm going to read about Libertarian socialism, since this friend and supporter of my channel, liker of my channel, is a Libertarian socialism. Question is, what is Libertarian socialism? Now, in order to educate ourselves a little better, since we have people who say, Karl Marx, and they associate it with all sorts of tyranny and all sorts of dictatorships and all sorts of bad events, and surely people who claim to be communists or socialists who have been authoritarian, and there have been authoritarian regimes that in many ways claim to be communist or socialist or what have you. Now, if you're going to ask about Karl Marx, and that's going to be another video, he definitely had some ideas. He was a great thinker, and some ideas that we need to consider in this 21st century. I want to just say, one of the interesting propositions or prophecies that Karl Marx was right about was that the capitalist system will reach in many decades what he called a financial or capitalism mixed with imperialism, the last stage. And this will be dominated by a tiny capitalist financial class, right? And so that he also predicted the disappearance of the middle class, which of course, since the financial crisis that began late July 2007, and that of course lasted a few years, and even some people say that we are not yet out of it, and that the recovery was not, and we're still in a recovery from that 2007 to 2010 decline in job creation, in wealth, in overall wealth, and the stock market decline, and the wiping out of billions and trillions of dollars. We'll not go into that because that's a whole discussion in itself. But nonetheless, let's just think positive vibes and for a recovery, for the 99% creation of more jobs, and what I call diversified job creation, meaning that people should not be stuck just to do one type of job or activity, or should be financed for different activities, such as my advocacy at the World Citizens Gym is for financing fitness, giving people credits and social credit system and finance of wealth, capital, or what have you, like, in different ways, like food, shelter, or housing, if they stay physically fit. That's another theory and proposition of mine for the World Citizens Gym. Check it out. I'm working out weekly, a few times a week, for a cause. Merged of course with the Dragan versus Trump initiative. And so, anyways, without digression, Karl Marx, of course. And people a lot that Karl Marx and what they know. What do they know about Karl Marx? What do you know about Karl Marx? Have you ever read? Okay, you've read the Communist Manifesto. That's only a few pages that outlines a program, and it's without more depth and details, but it has a program. Of course, the main one being the elimination of private property, or rather, not the elimination per se of private property. And this is important because this distinction of the words elimination of private property is not really that valid. It's actually the transference of private property, of the property to be owned collectively, and that's very different than eliminating private property. It actually making property and the means of production of the economy owned collectively. So anyways, that's another, don't want to digress into that more abstract and more intellectual, which of course has a practical societal reform to it, since Karl Marx believed in the communist revolution and the socialist revolution, and socialism and communism, they have varying degrees of interrelationship, and sometimes in Karl Marx's, oftentimes in the writings, socialism is a step towards communism, which is the final goal, which of course many claim that it was never achieved. I'm open to discussion whether you had some periods of time where communism was as it was, and what have you, but nonetheless, Karl Marx, for example, Das Kapital, when I read it 11 years ago or so, I remember having a headache after reread and went to the library a few days and just was like, oh, I had a headache. It was deep, abstract, of course, with mathematics and calculations, which was rational and practical, but nonetheless it was of course also abstract. So maybe we'll try to reread it, a little bit of it, in the coming days or weeks. Now, without digressing furthermore, I want to read about libertarian socialism. And bear with me, we'll do a little fast reading. Libertarian socialism, or socialist libertarianism, is a group of anti-authoritarian. I'm an anti-authoritarian myself. LGBTQ rights, don't like authoritarianism and dictatorships. I'm not for that. Not for wearing, installing uniforms or censorship. Even, of course, I'm against hate speech. Don't want any fucking hate speech. Any fucking hate speech. Any fucking hate speech. Love, baby, love, baby. Is a group of anti-authoritarian political philosophies inside the socialist movement. So as we know, movements have different branches and different subgroups and movements within movements. Like feminism. Yes, I'm a feminist. But that doesn't mean that I'm in accord with many feminists, or men feminists, or women feminists, or trans. Maybe generally for trans rights, equal rights, and of course feminists and equal pay. Yes, for example, that issue. Absolutely 100% equal pay for men and women, that's clear. But other things... I'm doing a video! Anyways, without digressing, as in, could you digress when discussing serious topics? Political philosophies inside the socialist movement that rejects the conception of socialism as centralized state ownership and control of the economy. So you can see how this is very different from the mode proposed, of course, by Karl Marx himself, a more centralized authority, but what's called the proletariat, or the dictatorship of the proletariat. Libertarian socialism also rejects the state itself. This is interesting. It's close to and overlaps with left libertarianism and criticizes wage labor relationships within the workplace. And of course, on another day we will have to go deep within each of these ideas, instead emphasizing workers' self-management of the workplace and decentralized structures of political organization. It asserts that a society based on freedom and justice can be achieved through abolishing authoritarian institutions that control certain means of productions. And here I would like to have a discussion with libertarian socialists, or any socialist for that matter, or any other left-leaning, if you will, liberal, even centrist liberals, about the primary importance of focusing financial reform and the banking system to be public, not private. It asserts that society based on freedom and justice can be achieved through abolishing authoritarian institutions that control certain means of production and subordinate the majority to an owning class or political and economic elite. Libertarian socialists advocate for decentralized structures based on direct democracy and federal or confederal associations such as libertarian municipalism, citizens' assemblies, trade unions, and workers' councils. All of this is generally done with a general call for libertarian and voluntary human relationships through the identification, criticism, and practical dismantling of illegitimate authority in all aspects of human life. I like the sound of that. So, you can deduce from here that yes, there is a need for authority, but not illegitimate authority. Right? And of course, I would add not patriarchal solely or only based on patriarchy. It's not the size of the cock and let you build the satellites in the sky. So bullying, for example, is a big part of that, or just force, right? You have to have a moral, and this is where I stress the importance of an ethical and moral leadership. A bit of my idealistic side calls for philosopher, rulers, and leadership and authority. Of course, we can be strength also, but strength together. Through the identification, criticism, and practical dismantling of illegitimate authority in all aspects of human life. As such, Libertarian socialism seeks to distinguish itself from both Leninism/Bolshevism and social democracy. Although I would argue that there's a lot of social democratic ideas, such as myself, that espouse, for example, minimum wage, raising the minimum wage, better working conditions that overlap social democracy. Past and present political philosophies and movements commonly described as libertarian socialist include anarchism as well as autonomism, communalism, participism, guild socialism, revolutionary syndicalism, and libertarian Marxist philosophies such as council communism and Luxemburgism. Luxemburgism, I never read anything about Luxemburgism. Yes, was figuring out that it relates to Rosa Luxemburg, who was a Polish Marxist theorist, philosopher, economist, anti-war activism. Peace, not war. Peace, not war. Peace, not war. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing, nothing. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing, 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 nothing. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. World peace, security, and prosperity together, brothers and sisters. Let's form communities. Let's advocate. Join me. Add me on Facebook. Come to the workouts with me at the World Citizens Gym. Fight for social justice, for world citizenism, for LGBT rights, for a better economic system. As well as some versions of utopian socialism and individual anarchism. Overview. Libertarian socialism is a Western philosophy with diverse interpretations, though some general commonalities can be found in many incarnations. It advocates a worker-oriented system of production and organization in the workplace that in some aspects radically departs from neoclassical economics in favor of democratic cooperatives or common ownership of the means of production. And cooperatives, as opposed to corporations, is something that we must seriously look at as a society. Who owns the shares? Just less and less people own the means of production. Since 1984, it's been a concentration of capital, financial capital, the financialization specifically. Stock ownership, the owners of the companies, the means of production, that is. Everything that we produce, consume, services, corporations. So this article, Libertarian Socialism, can be found on Wikipedia. You can read it. Let me know what you think about it. The association of socialism with libertarianism predates that of capitalism, and many anti-authoritarians still decry what they see as a mistaken association of capitalism with libertarianism in the United States. As Nod Chomsky put it, a consistent libertarian must oppose private ownership of the means of production and wage slavery, which is a component of this system, as incompatible with the principle that labor must be freely undertaken and under the control of the producer. Anti-capitalist. It is forgotten that the early defenders of commercial society, like Adam Smith, were as much concerned with criticizing the association of blocks to mobile labor represented by guilds as they were to the activities of the state. The history of socialist thought includes a long associational and anti-statist tradition prior to the political victory of the Bolshevism in the East and varieties of Fabianism in the West. Of course, it can be argued that Bolshevism was actually is very authoritarian, very autocratic. Libertarian socialists are anti-capitalist and can thus be distinguished from right-wing libertarians, where capitalist and right libertarian principles concentrate economic power in the hands of those who own the most capital. Libertarian socialism aims to distribute power more widely amongst members of society. So there's a lot to read here, of course, and we'll not be able to read this in one session. We'll have to come back to it. So let's say that I'm gonna do like a three-part study or reading and discussing libertarian socialism. Coffee with Dragan. Let me know. Tell me what you think.